Saturday mornings at 9 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Don't miss Retirement with Pinnacle with Gary and Don Crawford, Saturday mornings at 9. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
This hour of Ocala Talks is brought to you in part by Blockers Furniture. Go see all their specials at blockersfurniture.com.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. It's Friday, Earth Day. I was a teacher for a while, for 5 years. My undergraduate degree is in social science education, secondary, which is a glorified way to say that I could teach philosophy, sociology, psychology, anthropology, climate, civics, world history, and U.S. history. Yes, I could teach any one of those classes at the high school level with my undergraduate degree. And I taught while I was going to graduate school. I taught at Anderley Academy in Boone, North Carolina, and then Avery County High School in Avery County, North Carolina, just outside of Boone. And you would get new textbooks. Now, I was not a big textbook guy because I think that history textbooks are crap, and I didn't teach any of the other social sciences. I taught civics, world history, and U.S. history. That's what I taught. And I think that history books are crap because history books don't always tell the whole story. And I also think that the way we teach history in high school is garbage because it should be a lecture class. It shouldn't be a textbook, do the work at the back of the chapter class. I think that you should prepare kids for the next level. And whether you go into a technical job or a job where you don't need a college degree, or whether you go to only college, taking proper notes and making sure that you're able to then decipher what you wrote and everything is paramount to doing a good job, in my opinion. So I was a lecture type teacher. So textbooks, I really didn't, use my textbook a whole lot. And besides, history, you know where you need to start and where you need to end to get the, enough history in a school year. Math, science, stuff like that, completely different. And it's just straightforward. It's just math. It's just numbers on a page or word problems. And you teach the theories of mathematics through these word problems. So recently, the state of Florida, we're looking at new textbooks. They look at new textbooks every year. The state of the education department for the state of Florida, and then they approve certain books that school systems can then use. They get to choose which one of the books from the list they can use in their curriculum in their individual counties. Well, recently, 54 different math books, just math textbooks. And yes, they get inundated with hundreds of textbooks every year. English textbooks, math, science, history, anything you can think of. There are multiple numbers, and math being one of the highest numbers of textbooks that are generated. But the reason I bring this up is I know a lot of people say indoctrination is not happening in our schools, and so you don't need to make laws about gender and talking to kids about sex and all, because indoctrination is a made-up narrative by the Republican Party. It never happens in school. Teachers don't do that. All they do is teach. There's no indoctrination going on. 622-9622 is the number to call if you want to get in on the discussion, by the way. 622-9622. So there's no indoctrination going on. The National Teachers Union will want you to think, and teachers that are indoctrinating your children want you to think they're not. Well, let me give you an example of what indoctrination looks like from a math textbook. Wait, Tom, it's just numbers. How could they be indoctrinating somebody in algebra class? Well, I'm about to tell you. This is taken directly from a textbook that was up for consideration by the state of Florida that was ultimately rejected because it either touched on critical race theory or indoctrination of students or something along those lines. It's a word problem in the book. What? Me? Racist? That's how this word problem starts. What, question mark, me, question mark, racist, question mark? Then it goes, more than 2 million people have tested their racial prejudice using an online version of the implicit association test. Most groups' average scores fall between slight and moderate bias, but the difference among groups by age and by political identification are intriguing. In this section, exercises 103 and 104, you'll be working with models that measure bias and prejudice. Then they list the equations. S equals 0.3x to the third minus 2.8x to the second plus 6.7x plus 30. Then the second equation goes S equals minus 0.03x to the third plus 0.2x to the second plus 2.3x plus 24. Then it goes on to explain what those mean. In each model, S represents the score of the implicit association test. Remember, that's the test that people use to figure out their racial prejudice. S equals the score of the implicit association test. Then in parentheses it goes, higher scores indicate stronger bias and prejudice. In the first model, see exercise 103, X represents age group. In the second model, see exercise 104, X represents political identification. Okay, why do we need to identify what political party we're in a math problem in high school? Then it says, it goes down, it explains the lesson objectives. And here's where it gets crazy. You don't think they're indoctrinating your children? Here's proof in the pudding in this math textbook, an algebra textbook that was rejected by the state of Florida. Lesson objective. The objective is for students to build proficiency with social awareness as they practice empathizing with classmates of less ability and gender, race, and it goes on to say all the letters, than what they are. Huh? This textbook literally says the objective is not to learn algebra. The objective is to build proficiency with social awareness as they practice empathizing with people that aren't like them. That ain't no damn math I ever heard of. I know I'm 55 years old, but I've heard of a lot of math. That ain't it. Let me read that lesson objective to you again. Not to learn how to do algebraic equations. That's not the lesson objective. The lesson objective is for students to build proficiency with social awareness as they practice empathizing with classmates different from them. That's not the objective of math, folks. The objective of math is teach you to multiply, add, divide, subtract, do equations so you can figure out longitude and latitude and area and diameter and tangents and sine. That's the objective of math, not to raise social awareness about people that are different than you. And they do it by saying, we're going to see how biased and prejudiced you are by using this equation. Huh? I got no words. And somebody goes, Tom, it's only one example. That's all you need. There's nowhere in a math class that should be a question. The literally math equations that are part of this lesson objective are an afterthought. This lesson is to build proficiency with social awareness as you practice empathizing with people different than you. And here I was thinking math was about dividing, adding, subtracting, multiplying. I don't know where people think that is pure indoctrination. That's indoctrination in its purest form, in my opinion. That's not even trying to teach math. That's indoctrinating somebody to a social platform or social awareness that you believe they should be at. Because if they show large bias, now they'll be ridiculed by their, and this is a class discussion and everything. You go up and work on the board, you do this, and it comes out that you're heavily biased because this equation says so, because of your test results and everything that you did on this test. Well, now you're a mark for everybody else in the class that thinks that you're now racist or highly prejudiced. I don't understand how anybody thinks that's not indoctrination. I mean, if you think that's not indoctrination, tell me why. I'll wait. No, really. 622-9622. How is that not indoctrination? I'll wait. Well, 622-9622 is the number to call if you want to weigh in on this subject. But to me, that's blatant proof of indoctrination in a math class. We'll be back after this timeout. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source. The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses,